Hi guys. I was taking a deep breath as the camera was starting. Today is Mercury direct day. Hallelujah. However, Mercury does not go direct until like 9 p.m. Mountain Time. So it's like 11 p.m. It's like 11:16 p.m. Eastern Time. And it'll be around 8:16 p.m. Pacific Time. So we have a whole day of Mercury just like at a halted stop right now. This video is not about Mercury retrograde, but we had to talk about it because wow. What a time to be alive. Am I right? Am I right? So Mercury goes direct tonight. We still have Mercury post shadow period until May 31st. This is a time for you to really wrap everything up that you didn't get accomplished during Mercury retrograde. A little bit of business before we get started on the Taurus new moon reading. The Taurus new moon is coming up on Friday, May 19th. And it's a big one. It's a big new moon after a really big eclipse season. So I'm really excited to get to the charts with you guys. But May is filled up really fast. I still have a few spots for like my regular astrology and tarot readings that I always offer. Now's a really great time to get a reading if you have been wanting to get a reading with me. I've had some people ask me if I was going to do the Jupiter and Taurus, if I was going to like offer a Jupiter and Taurus reading. And I'm not, but if you're interested in getting to like finding out what Jupiter and Taurus, Jupiter is going to be in Taurus for a year from this May, from May 16th, which is just in 2 days from now. Jupiter will be in Taurus from May 16th until next May, where he will ingress Gemini. And during like right when Jupiter hits Taurus, he will immediately square Pluto. And we're going to talk about that a little bit with this new moon reading. But if you would like that, if you would like to get that Jupiter and Taurus reading, I have an astrology, like a 30-minute astrology consultation reading. And you can either have it done live or you can have it done recorded. I always tell everybody that you can change any of my readings to recorded. If it's live, just shoot me an email and be like, hey, Betsy, can you do a recorded reading instead of a live reading? But if you want to find that out, I do have the astrology consultations. I would suggest the 30-minute one. I'll put it in the description box underneath this video, the direct link there if you guys are interested. And there's a little spot on like when you fill out your information, there's just a little spot where you could just say, I'd like to know what Jupiter and Taurus is doing. And Jupiter and Taurus is really going to be a big deal for all the fixed signs. So if you have Leo placements, if you have Scorpio placements, especially, or if you have Aquarius placements and of course Taurus placements, Tauruses are going to be affected, if you will, by Jupiter and Taurus a little more than everybody else. And Jupiter is joining Uranus there. So it's going to be a pretty big ordeal. And Jupiter and the North Node will come together. Hold on a second. Jupiter and the North Node will come together while Jupiter is in Taurus as well. Hold on 1 second for me. My apologies. Henry's at the grocery store. He had questions for me and his text messages come through whether I have it on Do Not Disturb or not. So here we are. Okay, so any other readings you'd like to get as well? I have a few more spots open for January. All of my 6-month reading spots are taken for May, but all of June is still wide open for my 6-month readings, July through December. You can get the tarot reading or you can get tarot and astrology for that. There's an add-on for your 6-month astrology as well. Yeah, so after we did business, let's talk about this new moon that's coming up. Here we are. Here we go. And I really tried to work with my lighting so that I wouldn't be super dark, but for some reason, I don't know what it is with this Zoom application that I'm using for this. But for some reason, the lighting always gets all wacky when I use this application. So it is what it is. But so here we are. Here's the new moon. It's happening on May 19th at 9:52 a.m. Mountain Time. So that would be 11:52 a.m. Eastern Time and 8:52 a.m. Pacific Time. And you can see that the new moon will be happening at 28 degrees, 25 seconds. Yeah. This is I have a whole bunch of notes for this. It's a really big new moon. Immediately when you look at this, you can see that T-square already forming. So we're having this T-square happen, and it'll really be happening on when Mars ingresses, I'm sorry, Leo. I almost said Gemini, but when Mars ingresses Leo, and this is going to be exact the day after this new moon. So on May 20th, we're going to have this Jupiter, Pluto, Mars T-square. I talked about this Jupiter, Pluto, Mars T-square in every single one of your readings. So if you, kind of want to, and like all of the general reading. So if you haven't watch your general reading, you can get a little information there. But first, we're going to have Jupiter and Pluto square. So we talked about Jupiter moving, ingressing into Taurus on the 16th, which is Monday. And Jupiter in Taurus is going to be really amazing. It's going to be a time, like there's still change that's going to be happening because we have Uranus there in Taurus as well. But this is almost the blessings in disguise kind of change that's going to be occurring for all of us. Jupiter square Pluto, in a lot of ways, there will be it helps us all to want to push ahead, and it helps us all to want to be successful. Pluto is the driving power of that duo, and Jupiter is the abundance part. Jupiter in Taurus really wants to be abundant when it comes to the material things in life. But also with Jupiter in Taurus, we want to be abundant with our self-esteem too. If you're like, if you're like moving ahead and you're stepping on other people to get ahead, or you're, feel like you're being successful by the big house you just bought or the car that you just got, or like all of those things, but it's not feeding your soul or in any way, or you are using other people to get to where you want to get in life or to have a certain kind of status. This Jupiter Pluto square, like now may be the time where people are having that like power push and want to be successful and really want to get things accomplished and get things done. Down the road, you're going to see the consequences of those actions. And especially when Mars moves into Leo the day after this new moon, and we have Mars opposite Pluto, there's going to be even more of a push because Mars will also be square Jupiter at this time. Jupiter quickly moves into the first degree, so he will no longer be at that 0 degree, but there still is going to be that tight T-square for a couple of days until, Jupiter starts to move away and Mars starts to move away from Pluto. And, not being so tight in that configuration. But I feel like there's going to be it's so hard to explain. It's so hard to explain this. It's very hard to explain this because Jupiter in Taurus and Pluto in Aquarius are brand new energies that we're feeling together. Like we don't exactly know what Pluto in Aquarius is going to be doing for us completely right now. I feel like there's a revolution that's happening. I feel like there are several different groups that are going on. I feel like we're really moving into an artificial intelligence that's like talked about quite a bit, you know, in every aspect. Like every time I turn around, somebody's talking about AI these days. So Pluto in Aquarius is bringing us a lot of automated things, I feel like, or a lot, like there's this revolution that's happening. A lot of people are, you know, going off grid now, and you can almost do that because there is new technology to allow you to have solar panels on your house where, you know, it's battery powered, or, you know, all of these really amazing things. You know, people are learning how to garden again, you know, things like that. And Jupiter in Taurus is only going to expand things like that. So I do feel like there are going to be two different types of groups that are going to take advantage of this Jupiter and Pluto. That's what we need to call it. Jupiter Pluto square, this judo square. No, but yeah, this Jupiter Pluto square, I do feel like there's going to be, you know, people are going to take advantage of some situations in one way, and in another way, you know, there's just this drive. There's this drive for things to, we want things to change, and we want things to go back to a simpler time, you know, a simpler existence. I know a lot of people want to go back to a simpler existence. Some people want to go back to the simple existence pre-pandemic. And some people want to go back to the simple existence from the 1800s, where we all just, you know, grew our food, you know, whether it was an animal or it was a plant, we were growing our food. So I do feel like that this T square is very, very significant when it comes to this new moon that we'll be having on March 19th, because it's part of it. The energy is part of it. So my advice, you can take it or leave it. You know, it's not gonna hurt my feelings if you think about my advice as something that's like cheesy, right? This is going to be very powerful as we have the new moon trine Pluto in Aquarius just by a few degrees. And so there will be so many powerful ways for you to allow yourself to get ahead. This is a time to look at all of those things that you've been wanting to do and you kind of just didn't have the opportunities, or because this is going to open up a lot of doors for a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of opportunities around everywhere, but we have to be willing to see it. If you see an opportunity or a door open and you start talking yourself out of it because of all of the reasons that the world told you that things like that aren't going to work, then that door will shut. And it could open again later in the future, but this is like getting an ace in a reading. This is like getting the Ace of Wands, an opportunity for power, an opportunity for, you know, new exciting things that can really feed your soul and really open you up to what you've always wanted to do. We've been in a rut. I don't know how many people, including myself, I'm going to throw myself into this category, but I don't know how many people, I'm going to stop showing this just for a second, just so I can talk to you guys. I don't know how many people have had to go through this really deep depression lately. I feel like almost everybody that I've talked to has told me at some point in the last 6 to 9 months, there have been this deep depression episode. Like, I would not be surprised if we started having, you know, if the news station started talking about this uptick in like depressive episodes, or you know, that we need to start really looking at our mental awareness. And I mean, if you think about what happened with the pandemic and how much fear was put into us, and now everybody's like, oh, we really actually didn't need to take those kind of precautions. It really wasn't as scary as we made it out to begin with, but we had this death count we're looking at every single day on the televisions. Like, that's traumatic, y'all. That is PTSD. And I've talked with you guys about this before. There is a certain amount of pain and sorrow and having to process everything that we've all been through in the last several years, 3 years now. You know, it's been 3 years since that all started. And you know, it's still, you know, a lot of people, I feel like, still kind of have the traumas that came from all of that. So this is that time for us to kind of pull ourselves out of it. Listen to our souls, listen to what it is that we want to do, like really allow ourselves to step fully into our own power, step fully into our own soul's path that we want. I have had chronic depression my entire life. Like, if I'm being honest with you guys, I've had chronic depression my entire life. So I know what it feels like for that to be a constant battle. There are days where like nothing will trigger me and I just don't even want to be alive anymore. I'll just like lay in bed all day long and not even want to be alive anymore. And you can imagine getting a prognosis like I did just 2 years ago, what that can do to a person's psyche when they've had chronic depression their whole life. And I've been able to manage it without medicine for almost 7 years now, it's been about 6-7 years now. And about 6 years. Yeah, now that I think about it, doesn't matter. But and even I had some really difficult moments to get through all of this energy that we were going through, because life was just kind of throwing things at us. And like, you know, I feel like timelines were shifting so dramatically that we really had to process all of those things that were so deeply embedded inside of us, right? Being a shaman, I fully believe that, yes, you can have a chemical. I believe in the body. I believe that, yes, you can have a chemical deficiency in the brain. I'm not going to get into what happens with the brain because I know how depression works and I know how it sparks off in the brain and all of that stuff with the serotonin and everything. Like, I know, I've done, I've learned all of that, right? But it's very easy to claim that this chemical reaction, you know, it's like that's the painful part, because then it's like, well, what can I do? I can take a pill and I can set off my serotonin and I can, you know, get that. Not everybody can just get off your medication. I never want anybody to do that. I never want anybody to get off their medication at all. I am a firm believer that when we are depressed, when we are chronically depressed and we need that help building that serotonin in our bodies, that there's something missing in our lives too, that we don't feel whole. We don't feel like ourselves. We feel alien to the body that we're in when we're super depressed and chronically depressed. So think about that as well, right? Like, I am a firm believer that medication can help because I was on it for years and I needed to be on it for years. And then I found other ways. And I even was planning on getting back on it very recently. And it was so difficult for me to get in touch with a doctor to do it. I was like, this is not the path I'm supposed to be taking, and I wasn't going to force it. So I allowed myself to go through the process, the feeling like I'm dying again and all of that, right? And I'm having this conversation with all of you guys because I want you to know that you're not alone. And I don't want the spiritual world to tell you that you're weak. And I don't want the spiritual world, because the spiritual world doesn't know who you are, period, at all. Your spirituality is yours. And if that also includes getting help to feel better, that's exactly what you need to do. Because I know so many people that have gone through this depression recently and they didn't get help. And they beat themselves up every single day. And they might have been able to find themselves on the other side of it. But it was hard on them. And we need to be softer to ourselves. And we need to also understand that not every part of pharmaceuticals are evil. Like, that's something like, yeah, I mean, I have to live taking pharmaceuticals every day of my life. And this is a Saturn and Pisces reality that we all have to kind of come to, right? I take pharmaceuticals every day of my life. And I actually posted on Twitter, and Instagram, every once in a while I show people snapshots of my life with cancer. Because not everybody understands, I don't show a lot about the negative parts of my life, but there are a lot of them that happen on a daily basis. And so I was showing these snapshots, and I talked about how I put blessings and love and energy healing into every single one of the pills as I count them out for the week that I need to take, so I don't forget to take my medication. And then I also bless them as I take them, and I help, I ask for them to nourish my body as well as, kill whatever cells need to be killed, or whatever, whatever their job is that they have to do, but to not harm me so much in the process. We know that a lot of cancer medications can take away as much as they can help, right? This day and age. Hoping that changes soon, rallying for that part. But I want everybody to understand. And this is going to be a big also Jupiter and Taurus lesson because of how I'm going to share my screen again. This is going to be another Jupiter and Taurus lesson because of how much we can easily overindulge ourselves to fill up holes in our lives when we haven't taken care of that wholeness. You see, I went full circle there because I felt like it was necessary. So this new moon is a jumping off point to a new existence, a new life. Whatever it was during eclipse season that you needed to let go of, that you need to have, it needed to fall away from your life. I want you to have this new beginning. Some people's new beginnings are already starting. Some people may not see their new beginnings until, a couple of weeks down the road or a month down the road or whatever that looks like for them. But this is that jumping off point. And so whatever it is that you've really wanted to do in your life that you've been putting off because of all of those excuses and all of those reasons, you have to remember that the more that you follow your path, the more that you follow the parts of your soul that really want you to live out loud, the easier it's going to be in your life. That doesn't mean that it's going to be an easy life. I said it's easier. And the reason why it's easier is because you're whole. You're not giving pieces of yourself to everybody all the time. We're also going to have, let me look at my notes, make sure. So with the moon trine Pluto, there's going to be this 2-degree trine. This could really find you in a lot of emotional, bonding with people on a deeper, more intense level. A lot of people's psychic abilities are really going to either be intensified or they're going to be shown for the first time. So many people waking up right now. But this is all for opportunities to open and have, this evolutionary growth and new beginnings happening. Mars is at 29 degrees, ready to ingress Leo and oppose Pluto, which is already squared Jupiter starting on the 16th. But then we also have the moon sextile Mars at 1 degree as well. So, all of these really incredible. And we have Mercury. We have Mercury sextile Saturn too. So and Mercury is going to be direct, still a little bit slow going, but definitely direct, and moved out of that 5 degrees that he went direct. So this is like that jumping off point to starting a new life, reinvent yourself. It's always about reinvention, right? This is a new moon to help really reinvent yourself. Taurus energy, there's so much fixed Taurus energy here. And the thing about fixed Taurus energy is I've seen so many Taurians be their own bosses, and they can be self-starters, and they can be very motivating for themselves. A lot of that is just a drive to success. Like they want to be powerful, they want to have that success and to succeed. But oftentimes Taurus can get down on themselves, and they can tell themselves that they're not good enough. And a lot of that is from past traumas of being told that they're not good enough. Really depending on how stubborn you are in your chart. Stubbornness keeps you moving, you guys. That's the funny thing, is a lot of people think that stubbornness just keeps you kind of stuck in your own ways and you don't want to get out of it. And that's absolutely true that that can happen. But stubbornness can also push you forward. If you're stubborn enough to accomplish something, you know, you're going to be able to do it. So all of this Taurus fixed energy, in a really big way is like kind of helping to remind us to like dig in our heels on the things that we really, really believe in. Dig in our, you know, like don't allow other people to take that away from you. Okay. Really about standing up for yourself. There's a lot of soft energy in here as well. If you look, we have all of this water energy here and all of this water energy in Cancer and in Pisces with Saturn and Neptune. And so it's kind of easy to, with, you know, Taurus represents our self-esteem in our charts and what that looks like for you and how you honor your own worthiness and your own self-esteem. Time to take my meds. So it's, you know, you can really still, people are still kind of getting down on themselves. This Jupiter, Pluto, Mars T-square that we're going to have this coming week, we're going to feel the buildup of it, and it could be very, very tense. You could feel a lot of tension in your life and a lot of tension coming off of other people. There's going to be aggression. That Mars opposite Pluto, there will be aggression in this, and it could really expand into some pretty nasty things. So be very patient with everybody. I feel like finances, you know, it's going to be an interesting thing for finances. I think a lot of people are going to get scared of the financial stuff again. I feel like, because Pluto often represents our financial status, and we're going to be getting back into a retrograde where Pluto, the United States just went through their Pluto return like 3 different times, and they're going to do it again. So a lot of financial changes are going to be happening as well. So, okay. Wow, that focus was funny looking. Okay, let's get a surrender card to see. Hopefully the cards aren't going to be glary. Oh, good. So a power of surrender card to see what it is that we need to surrender for this new moon in Taurus. Oh, nice. This is like an easily perfect card for this one. Easily perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Surrender your desire to control people. Exactly the point that I was saying. Like, don't try and force other people to be something that they're, I mean, you got to let people live their lives, right? Being over controlling can sabotage relationships. To more effectively achieve your goals, back off, regroup, and give the situation some breathing room. Surrender your desire to control people. So whether you're the person that wants to control other people or you feel controlled, that can go a couple of ways. If you're feeling like somebody is trying to control you or control the way that you're doing things, it could very much, like that's kind of soul crushing. That's like a soul crushing thing. Woo! Time to start planting those seeds for the future, y'all. So we got Judgment. We have the Chariot. And we have the Seven of Pentacles. So Judgment is saying it's time. It's time to move forward. This is, you know, we have Mercury going direct tonight. We have the new moon happening on the 19th. We have Jupiter square Pluto on the 16th. We have the Mars, Jupiter, Pluto T-square on the 20th. And then we have the Sun ingressing Gemini on the 21st. This is a very, very busy week. And in this busy week, this is not a time to pay attention to all of the details. This is a time to let the details be the universe's problem. This is a time for you to start really, really, really moving forward on those seeds that have, I guarantee you these are coming up already. These are becoming flowers already. That's Seven of Pentacles. So let's see what judgment is. Oh, nice. Wow. I mean, this is like one of those readings that you just can't make up. Bottom of the deck, we have the sun. Clarity, healing, optimism, really boosting your ego. We don't want to kill every part of your ego, just the parts of it that we don't necessarily enjoy. And not really killing it. We just want to show it who's boss. So it stops telling us what to do. Judgment on, we have the Hierophant on judgment. This is a leveling up. This Hierophant is about, for some people, this is about settling down. Some of you may even end up getting engaged this week. I don't know where that came from, but a lot of times it can be the institution of marriage, but it's like it's like leveling up, whether you're leveling up in a relationship, in your spiritual life, and just your general life and work life. It's a leveling up. Sometimes it's higher education. Some of you are graduating this week, which is awesome. But you guys who are graduating college or high school this week are really getting an awesome week to be able to just like do your best, right? You could really screw it up if you don't. I'm not going to do that to you guys. No. This is a time to do your best and to like push forward as much as as much as you want to be able to grow and find abundance and prosper. We have the Knight of Cups with the Queen of Wands on the Chariot. Again, this feels like a proposal for someone very specifically who's going to watch this reading is getting proposed to. Like I can't, and if you're getting proposed to, you might be freaking out about it a little bit. And I don't want you to freak out about it, but somebody's getting proposed to. Another thing is, this is somebody coming to visit. There may be somebody that's coming to visit as well. But also, I feel like for the general, this feels like something you were waiting to hear about finally comes in. The energy starts moving and something that you were ready to hear about, like for some of you, this might have been, for those of you that are graduating this week, it could have been that you were trying to see if you were actually going to get to graduate. Who knows? 10 of Swords on the 7 of Pentacles. All right. So the 10 of Swords is the sabotaging. You could absolutely, something that you had been planting for some of you guys, it turns out to look a little bit different. Some of you are in your head too much. The 10 of Swords sometimes can be you thinking of the worst possible case scenario. You're like planting the seeds of negativity into your mind because of whatever things are happening this month, right? Or this week for you. And the thing is like when we are in the midst of big change, there's always that pressure. There's always that tension. There's always that discourse that moves on inside of us. And that's what we need to learn how to control, right? So we learn how to control the way that we react, the way that we respond. Right? And going to the worst possible case scenario is not the way that we want to respond. Some of you just really want something to just move forward and start happening already. And I get it. Like I understand and I totally get that. But again, going into that negative, we have the sun at the bottom of the deck, you guys. Like it's very clear that things are finally starting to make a little bit more sense and you're starting to get a little bit more answers than you did in the past. You got to do the work too. There's so much in the spiritual world about allowing the universe to, kind of take care of all the details, but we also have to be willing to show up. And I think that that's part of this is the more we show up for ourselves, the less we're thinking that it's all going to crash and burn and it's going to be terrible. And like for some of us, we may feel like we're not doing enough. You know, like you planted all of these seeds and now they're just all falling apart and there's really not much else that we can do about it, kind of thing. So, this is a great though. Like I love this reading. I just don't want you, you know, part of it is your desire to control yourself too, or to control the other things that are going on in your life. So surrender to the desire to control people and give space to these things that you really want to manifest. Like I really hope that everybody's stuff just I'm sitting here, I'm waiting on answers on something too. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, of course, now I'm going to be thinking of the worst possible case scenario because that's what the reading told me. Oh my God. Is this really just suggestion sometimes? I don't know. What a scientific way to look at things. I don't think so, to be quite honest. I was already in my head about it before this even came out. So, but I do feel like things are moving forward. So, my lesson this week is to let things play out the way that they are meant to play out. That is what my lesson is for the next couple of weeks. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let this all be as it's meant to be. And I hope that you guys are able to do that as well. I love you. You know, every time I wake up and I see that I got some reading orders overnight, it just warms my heart that somebody else wants to connect with me. And it's just amazing. So I want to just thank you specifically for those of you that have shown all this amazing support in the last couple months. It's been hard. This year's been hard already. I can't believe it's almost June. Like it's just the middle of, like we're in the middle of May. It's crazy. So, yeah, and my calendar is still open and I am going to be doing this for a long time, I hope. So I love you guys. Bye.